The city was shining with thousands of lights, but for many people, the night was still dark. A heavy rain covered the streets. Cars moved quickly. People rushed to their warm homes, and the sound of raindrops filled the quiet corners of the city. In a small bakery on an old street, a young woman named Sarah stood near the counter. She looked exhausted. Her hair was slightly wet from the rain. Her old coat was not enough to protect her from the cold, and she kept checking the small clock on the wall. It was almost midnight. The baker noticed her nervous face. "Ma'am, is everything okay?" he asked. Sarah forced a small smile. "Yes. I just wanted to ask something." "Of course." She looked at the beautiful cakes displayed behind the glass. Chocolate cakes, strawberry cakes, and colorful birthday cakes filled the shelves. Her eyes stopped on a small pink cake. It looked perfect, the same color her daughter loved. But then she looked at the money in her hand. Only a few coins. She lowered her voice. "Do you have any expired cake?" The baker froze. "Expired cake?" Sarah looked embarrassed. "Yes. Anything left from yesterday. Maybe a piece that you cannot sell anymore." The baker felt confused. "Why do you need expired cake?" Sarah looked down. "My daughter's birthday is today." The baker's expression changed. "Your daughter?" Sarah nodded. "She is 6 years old. She has been talking about her birthday for a month. She doesn't want toys or expensive gifts." She smiled sadly. "She only wants a small cake with her name written on it." The bakery became quiet. The baker looked at her. "Then why don't you buy a fresh cake?" Sarah gave a small laugh, but her eyes became wet. "Because fresh cakes cost more than what I earn in several days." She opened her hand and showed the coins. "This is all I have." Behind Sarah, in the corner of the bakery, a man sitting alone heard every word. He was wearing simple clothes, nothing that showed his identity. His name was Daniel. Most people knew him as one of the richest businessmen in the country. He owned companies, hotels, and buildings. But tonight, he was tired of being surrounded by people who only cared about his money. So he came to this small bakery alone. And now he was listening to a mother who wanted nothing more than a piece of cake. The baker sighed. "Please wait here." He walked to the back. After a moment, he returned with a fresh birthday cake. "Take this." Sarah immediately shook her head. "No, I can't." "Why not?" "I don't have enough money." The baker smiled. "You don't need to pay." Sarah stepped back. "No, I appreciate your kindness, but I cannot accept free things." The baker looked surprised. "You are refusing a cake for your daughter because you don't want charity?" Sarah nodded. "My daughter should learn that we can struggle, but we should always keep our dignity." Daniel quietly watched. Those words stayed in his mind. The baker tried again. "Please, let me help." Sarah looked at the cake. For a moment, she imagined her daughter's happy face. But then she slowly shook her head. "I am sorry." She turned around to leave. At that moment, Daniel stood up. "Wait." Sarah looked back. Daniel walked toward the counter. "Sir," the baker asked. Daniel pointed at the cake. "I ordered this cake earlier." Sarah looked confused. "You did?" "Yes," Daniel said. "I was supposed to pick it up, but my plans changed." He looked at the baker. "Give it to her." Sarah quickly said, "No, sir. That is yours." Daniel smiled. "I don't need it." "But," he interrupted gently, "sometimes people need help, and sometimes people need a chance to accept kindness." Sarah looked at him. She didn't know what to say. Finally, she accepted the cake. "Thank you." Daniel nodded. "May I ask your daughter's name?" Sarah smiled. "Lily." "Beautiful name." Sarah looked at the cake. "Thank you for making her happy." She left the bakery. Daniel watched her disappear into the rain. For the first time in a long time, he felt something he couldn't buy. Peace. The next morning, Daniel arrived at his office. His assistant placed a stack of documents on his desk. "Sir, your meetings start in 20 minutes. Daniel didn't answer. He was thinking about Sarah and Lily. Finally, he asked, "Can you find someone for me?" His assistant looked surprised. "Who?" "A woman named Sarah. She has a daughter named Lily." After searching, they found her. Sarah lived in a small apartment far from the city center. She worked during the day, cleaning offices, and at night, making clothes for extra money. Daniel visited her. When Sarah opened the door, she was shocked. "You?" Daniel smiled. "Yes. Why are you here?" "I wanted to check how Lily is." Sarah became cautious. "She is fine. Daniel looked inside. A little girl was sitting at a table, drawing. Is that Lily? The girl looked up. Yes. Daniel smiled. What are you drawing? A hospital. A hospital? Lily nodded. I want to become a doctor and help people. Daniel was silent. Those words reminded him of his own childhood. His father had died when he was young, and his mother had worked endlessly to give him a better life. She once dreamed of becoming a doctor too, but life had other plans. Daniel looked at Sarah. Your daughter has a beautiful dream. Sarah smiled. Yes, I tell her dreams are free, even when money is not. Daniel nodded. Then he said, what if I help her achieve it? Sarah immediately shook her head. No. Daniel was surprised. Why? Because I don't want my daughter to think success comes from asking others. Daniel smiled. You are a strong mother. He paused. I'm not offering charity. I'm offering an opportunity. Sarah looked at him. I want Lily to have the education she deserves. Years passed. Lily studied hard. She became one of the best students in her school. Then one day, she achieved her dream. She became a doctor, but she never forgot where she came from. Instead of opening an expensive private clinic, she opened a medical center for families who couldn't afford treatment. On the opening day, she invited Daniel. Daniel arrived and looked around. Children smiled. Families thanked the doctors. Everything was filled with hope. Lily walked toward him. Mr. Daniel. He smiled. Dr. Lily. She laughed. You still remember. I remember everything. She handed him a small box. What is this? Open it. Inside was a small homemade cake. Daniel smiled. A cake. Lily nodded. My mother told me the story many times. The story? Yes. The night when a stranger gave us hope. Daniel looked at the cake. Then he looked at Lily. You became exactly what you wanted to be. She smiled. And it started with a piece of cake. Daniel laughed. No, it started with your mother's kindness. That night, Daniel understood something. People thought his greatest achievements were his businesses and wealth. But his most meaningful moment happened in a small bakery, when he heard a mother quietly ask, Do you have an expired cake for my daughter? Because sometimes the smallest act of kindness becomes someone's biggest miracle.